Welcome back to another episode of Sweet Precision with me, Benjamin Bishop, pastry chef. Today's episode is brought to you by Exhale Therapy. They work together with you in a person-centered way in order to expand your understanding of yourself, your family, and your community. Today we're going to be making lemon cream bars. We have all of our ingredients here. We have melted butter, brown sugar, and these are salted crackers. This is going to be a different type of crust that we're going to be using for this recipe. For the main body of the lemon cream, we're having egg yolks. Now the egg whites you can set aside for right now. You can follow me on different episodes to learn how to make marshmallows and also pavlova that you can use those egg whites with. Also have fresh lemon juice. Fresh is always the best way to go, not in one of those little containers with lemon juice already in it. There's also sweetened condensed milk, lemon zest, and cornstarch. And then for our decoration, for the cream part, we have a little bit of sugar, some heavy cream, and mascarpone cheese. And then finally, when we're plating up, we'll have just a tiny bit more of lemon zest, and I made a raspberry sauce to go along with it. Now there are some special tools that we're going to be using today, and that's a microplane just to get our zest. And also I have a piking bag and a small rose tip here. This is actually a larger rose tip that's squared off. You don't have to get it exactly. And in fact, if you don't feel confident using a pastry bag, no problem. We can just do this a little differently, and I can show you that a little later. All right, let's get started. Alright, so we're going to be making the crust first for our lemon cream bars. So we do have the salted crackers here. We're just going to put that in the bowl. And I found that the salted crackers, first they add a little bit of salt to it, so it kind of helps to even out the sweetness. But then also it gives a lighter crust to it. It's not as heavy as some cookies or doing like a tart dough. So using those, adding our brown sugar in here. And we're just going to be mixing those key ingredients together to get them nice and evenly distributed. After that's done, we're going to be adding the melted butter and making sure that everything is well mixed. We don't want any dry spots. Okay, so we're mixing these ingredients together, making sure that everything is well combined. We don't want any dry spots. After that, we're going to be using the quarter sheet pan here with parchment paper. You don't need to grease the parchment paper since there's butter in the crust and it won't stick. The other part of the parchment paper is that it won't be sticking to the tray itself. So that's well combined. I'm going to be putting this all into the tray, and we want to make sure that it is nice and even layer of the crumbs. This is going to be going into a 350 degree oven. I'm going to just use my hands here instead of the spoon, and we're just looking for a nice even layer. Once that's pressed down, see that I'm putting some force on there. You just want to make sure that's all together. All right, so that's a nice even layer, and that's going to be going in a 350 degree oven, probably about 15 or 20 minutes, and that's it. All right, now the crust is in the oven, so we're going to be working on the batter next. So we're going to be taking the sweetened condensed milk here, putting that into the mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, that's no problem. You can either mix this by hand, or if you have like a handheld mixer, that would be fine as well. Just want to make sure that we get all the ingredients in there. And then we're going to be adding the egg yolks. These are at room temperature. You want to keep everything at room temperature as much as possible, because that way it will just give you a little less baking time. The oven won't have to struggle to get back to temperature, and things incorporate a little easier when they're at room temperature as well. So I'm going to put this on the mixer for just a minute or two, and that's so we can make sure that everything is combined.
All right, we're just going to give that a few seconds here, maybe about 20 or 30 seconds on low speed.
We don't want to incorporate too much air into this. All right. Now we have our lemon juice. We're going to add all of that at once. We have the lemon zest. This is about 3 small lemons worth of lemon zest and cornstarch. All right. Put that on the mixer again. It's very simple batter. The egg yolks give it some richness because of the fat content, but then you also have has a something that sets up. This is more or less a custard because we're using a milk and an egg product. So in this case, egg yolks. So that is all you have to do. Just make sure that it's all combined. And I want to scrape that paddle off. What we're going to do is wait until we have our crust done. Probably has about another 5 to 7 minutes in the oven yet. So we're going to wait for that to be done in order to put this back in the oven with the custard. So we'll be right back. Okay, so our crust has been in the oven for about 15 minutes now, and it's just about done. So if you watched the episode on cheesecake, you know that we used a flat bottom glass in order to tamp down the crust. We're going to be doing the same here by just using a flat bottom and just tamping it down so it's nice and even. Sometimes you get some steam that works up in there and makes this a little lumpy. We want a nice clean cup when we are having this served. And that's all you have to do. It's easier to do it when it is warm and right out of the oven. Just make sure that you're not burning your hands. All right, so we have the mixture, the lemon batter here. We're just going to pour that right on top. And then that is going to go back in the oven at 350 degrees. And I would probably say about 25 to 30 minutes that you're going to be looking for it to be done. As I said before in other episodes, when you're working in ovens and recipes give you a certain time that things should be done, I'm going to say that this is going to be a suggestion. Just make sure that you know your oven and when your products are done. Like this is going to be just set in the center. So again, it's about 25 to 30 minutes, but it's going to be set in the center. So it's not looking wet. It's going to look a little slightly dry, and if you tamp it, it's not going to be, you're coming up with a little bit in your hands. It's going to be dry there. So I'll put that back in the oven, but then while that is baking, we're going to get our cream topping done. All right, so we have our heavy cream, we have mascarpone cheese, and also a little bit of sugar to bring some sweetness into this. So we're gonna put that right into the mixing bowl. I'm gonna do both at the same time. That mascarpone and the cream in the bowl at once. Now this mascarpone cheese is at room temperature. Remember, it's easier to work at room temperature for a lot of this. You don't have it at room temperature, it's going to clump up on you. So this will allow us for a smooth cream mixture. So I'm going to be mixing this for probably 2 to 3 minutes to start to whip this up. And I'm going to slowly pour in the sugar. So while we're doing that, we'll just smoking this. We're going to just It is going to take a couple of minutes here, so why don't we just take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, and we're back. So I have my lemon bars here. I took them out of the oven, got them to room temperature, and then I put them into the refrigerator for at least a minimum of 2 hours. So we have this ready. I cut the edges off. That way it's a little simpler for me to get this out of the pan, which I've already released. And we're putting that right onto a cutting board. The parchment paper is still on there, so that won't be an issue. But I do want to start to cut these up so we have our slices. If you watched my cheesecake episode, you'll know that this is hot water with a knife in here. It helps to warm up the blaze so you get a nice clean cut. So I'm probably going to be going about a 2-inch slice here and making sure that I'm not using too much of the knife. If you have a large knife, you see this is a thinner knife here, you want to have as less surface tension as possible so you get a nice clean cut and you're not dragging and pulling some of your custard away. So we're going to just do a few slices here, get that damp. And again, these are approximately 2 inches, and I'm going to do another 2 inches on this side, and we have our places. After that's done, what we will do is we will use our cream and finish these off with a nice decoration on top. So just a couple more slices here. All right. So what I'm going to do is go back to my tray that we just took these off of. And I'm going to have these off to the side, giving some space in between because we're going to be decorating these, and it'll just give you a little bit of extra room to work. I'm just going to do 6 at this time. Again, you can cut these into any shape that you would like. I'm just doing these for a nice dessert portion. And if you have any little straggling little edges here, you can use a little bit of your water to tighten those up a tiny bit, just like I'm doing. All right, so there are our 6 portions. We'll put the rest off to the side. Now this is our cream topping that we made with mascarpone cheese and heavy cream, a little bit of sugar just to sweeten it up. I'm going to take that. This was kept in the refrigerator while everything else was chilling down. I'm going to use that rose tip that I talked about before, put that into my piping bag, and put the cream in. Now when you're using a piping bag, best thing to do is fold it over your hands and make it into a little cup. That way you can put the cream in, and you can actually use your hand as a little scraper so you can get that in as a nice clean area to work with. Make sure that all of your mixture is down towards the bottom, and you want it just to fit in the palm of your hand. If you have it any more like that and you do this on a regular basis, you tend to strain your wrist a lot. So if we can just keep it in the palm of our hands like this, give it a nice little twist so you have this nice and tight, and we're going to do a nice decoration on top. So with even pressure, I'm going to just go back and forth, and sometimes you have little air bubbles like that. We can just start that over again. I'll wipe that off. Keeping a nice even pressure, I'm going back and forth like this, and I have the smaller end of that tip facing up, and I'm just skimming the top of the lemon custard and making this nice design that we see coming out here. This is a great dessert, a nice refreshing dessert during the summer. And that's our decoration. Now you could do other decorations as well. You could actually just take a little bit in a spoon and dollop it on top. You can have like a nice raspberry or strawberry sauce to go with it, or even fresh berries. But this is your dessert, and we're going to be plating that up next. So we'll be right back to set that up. All right, and we're back. So we're going to be plating this up so we can have our guest taster to come in next. So I'm going to be taking a washed lemon here and using my microplane and just getting a little bit of that lemon zest on top. This will give a little bit of color, but then also get some of those nice essential oils from the lemon and give you a nice flavor on top of everything. It gives a tiny bit of color, like I said, but this is more for the flavor. Nice fresh lemon flavor. You just want to use the zest, the yellow part. You don't want to use any of the white pith. That'll be a little bitter for you. All right, so this is a raspberry sauce that I made earlier. You can not have it with sauce, or you can have a little bit on there. And I think raspberry goes fantastic with lemon. So we're gonna take one of ours here, put this right on the plate, and we're gonna have a good friend of ours, Dean, come in here and have a try of this dessert. So, hey, welcome.
Thanks.
Yes, yeah, thank you very much for coming in here. I'm going to try this.
Also, always up for a Benjamin creation.
Well, this is good because this is the first time you're actually trying this recipe. I don't think you've ever had this before. So,
I have not.
Okay, so let me tell you what it is. So we have a salted cracker crust on here with a little bit of butter and brown sugar, and then a custard made from sweetened condensed milk, lemon juice, lemon zest, and cornstarch. So that was baked off. And then this is a mascarpone and heavy cream, just a slight amount of sugar in there. So why don't you have a try? Let me know how it tastes, because I don't want to be that person where I taste my own stuff. So I always have somebody on.
Can I try it with and without?
Yes, absolutely.
Then we'll get the pure taste here without.
Oh, Dean, I thought you would take a bigger bite.
It's all right. I've just started.
Is it a good lemon flavor that's coming out of there? Is it tart enough? And sweet enough?
Both.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
No, it's
Excellent.
really good. I'm going to try one with
Yeah.
raspberry.
Now, what do you think about the cream on there? Doesn't it give a nice, kind of smooth flavor along with the lemon?
Can I take a bigger bite?
Please. Just be careful of your white shirt.
No, I'll spill.
Yeah, Bruce.
No, the cream is great.
Great. Good. Good. Nice summer. I mean, this could be any time of year, but a nice, kind of refreshing. I feel that this is one of the recipes that I use a lot, even for kind of for size, but a nice dessert portion like this is great.
I was going to suggest a blueberry on top,
I already read that too. Yeah.
but this is
Excellent. Soup. Oh, good. Yeah, raspberries, blueberries go well together, strawberries as well. Almost any type of berry that you can think of would go well with this. I've done this before where I made a raspberry or a blueberry glacé, so it's has a nice shiny coat on top too, so that's always nice. Good. Excellent. 2 thumbs up. That's what we want. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on here, and we'll be right back. Thanks for joining me again in the kitchen for Sweet Precision. I'm Benjamin Bishop, pastry chef, and as a reminder, today we made the lemon cream bars with a fresh raspberry sauce. Also, as a reminder, today's episode was brought to you by Exhale Therapy. They're in the Keys Rocks here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and they combine generational awareness with evidence-based practices. Their highly trained counselors are person-centered and provide action-oriented skills that support healing and stability. Exhale Therapy, breathe, you are here. And to follow me a little bit more, you can look for me on Instagram and Facebook at Benjamin Bishop Pastry Chef, and also look for these recipes and more on my website, benjaminbishoppastrychef.com. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time.